Hello friends, this is Santhanam from Officers IAS Academy, and in this video we will look at Greco-Persian wars. Greco-Persian war meaning the war between Greece and Persia, and this is a war which happened not very recently. It happened not 500 years ago, not 1000, not 1500, not even 2000 years ago. It actually happened 2500 years ago. Greco-Persian war. Greece and Persia fought with each other. So, what is the story of this war and what is it that was the consequence of this war, and finally, how did India get impacted because of this Greco-Persian war which happened elsewhere in the world? So, that's what we are going to see in today's video. Now, while talking about this particular war, I would like to show you a picture, and the picture that you are about to see is a picture that many of you would have been familiar with. It is something taken out of a movie, of a Hollywood movie, and in this movie, which is called The 300, you see these two important characters who play different roles in the movie. So, the person whom you see here with the beard, he is one of the kings of Greek state, one Greek state. Then the guy who is bald and who is having a lot of these ornaments, he is the king of Persia. So, the king of Persia and one of the kings of Greece are associated with this particular movie. And here is where I would like to talk about the background for these wars. See, back in Persia, there is this rule called as Achaemenid Empire, Achaemenid rule, and here there were certain very great kings who were ruling, and these kings are controlling huge swaths of the Middle East, and they are controlling the trade routes even in ancient times, even in 500 BC, even at that point in time they were controlling trade routes, and they were fighting for domination over the neighboring areas. Now, there was this Persian king, his name is Darius, and Darius wants to control the Mediterranean region, and he wants to subdue the Greeks, and Darius tries his best to ask the Greeks themselves to surrender to him, but the Greeks refuse. The Greeks refuse to Darius, and what did Darius do? He got very angry and he decided that he will lead a war into Greece. Now, that war happens to be one of the earliest battles in the Greco-Persian wars. Greco-Persian wars, there are multiple battles within that war. So, one of the earliest battle is that particular war. And that war, you should know, it was something that was otherworldly, meaning it was something that was very dramatic and something that was very unique and miraculous in so many different ways. See, Darius decides to march towards Greece, but at this point in time you have to know one thing, which is, now what we call as Greece today, which is one country, was not one country in 500 BC. There are multiple states within the Greek territory. So, there is Sparta, there is Athens, there is Lydia. So, Thebes, multiple Greek states are present, and these Greek states have the habit of in fact fighting amongst themselves. They do not really worry about the Greek nationalism. All they have is about all they think is about only their own territorial ambitions. So, obviously these Greek states themselves are fighting against each other, and at this point in time comes an outsider named Darius, the Persian king. Now, Darius decides to fight the Greeks, and he launches his attack towards one very important Greek city, Greek state called as Athens. Athens has been in history for such a long period of time, and Athens is very well known for the many developments and philosophers and cultural attributes, contributions made by the Athenian people. So, Darius is planning to attack Athens. Now, as he is moving towards Athens, remember The amount of soldiers that Darius has in comparison to the amount of soldiers the Athenian state has is very high. For every Greek soldier, every Athenian soldier, there are 10 Persian soldiers. That's how bad the proportion was, the comparison was. Now these Persian troops are sailing through ships and they are marching towards Athens. Now many of the Athenian political leaders, they decided that they are going to lose this battle. They are going to completely lose this battle and there is no point in trying to fight it, and even if they surrender, the Persian army is not going to stay still, it is certainly going to ransack the entire city of Athens. So many people start evacuating Athens, but there is this one person, one of the commanders within the Athenian Senate. His name is Themistocles, and he says, if we are going to lose this fight, let us at least fight and then lose. And he calls for people to join him to fight the Persians. Not a lot of soldiers join, but many people like potters, poets, painters, sculptors, all these people, out of a sense of pride for Athens, they all joined Themistocles' army. And all these people are lying in wait for the Persians to come and attack Athens. As Darius's ship start landing on the shores of Athens, the soldiers of Themistocles and Themistocles himself, they launch an attack. They ambush the Persians and surprisingly, they win the battle against the Persians. The Athenians, who are outnumbered 1 to 10, they were able to defeat the Persians, and King Darius himself is severely injured because of this war. The Persians were forced to retreat from this scenario. Now, as the Persians are retreating, the Greeks, the Athenians, they are actually overjoyed. Themistocles himself was overjoyed and he sends one of his generals to go and tell the news about victory in this battle to the senators in the capital city. This general, he runs all the way from the battlefield and he reaches the Senate and he tells the story of the victory and he collapses and dies there itself. It is this journey taken by this man running from the battlefield till the Athenian Senate to tell the story of victory. It is that journey that we call as marathon journey. That's what we run today as the marathon, and this is the Battle of Marathon. Battle of Marathon, which happened in the 490 BCE. Now, Darius goes back, and as Darius goes back, Darius' son Xerxes, he decides that he wants to fight the Greeks once more. He wants to fight the Greeks and he decides that he will attack Greece in a different region and he will subdue the Greeks all by himself. So he brings an even more bigger army and he marches towards another part of Greece called as Thermopylae. And that Thermopylae was a region which is very close and controlled by one more Greek state, which is called as Sparta. Now Spartans are known for their bravery, for their valor, for their military skill and strategy. And the army of Xerxes, the Persian king, and the very small number of the Spartan army headed by the Spartan king Leonidas fights with each other. And you should know, the Spartan war formations are so strong that the Persians find it very difficult to defeat the Spartans, but eventually they are able to subdue the Spartans altogether. They were able to kill off every remaining Spartan and they started to move forward. And this battle, even though the Greeks lost, the Spartans lost this battle is very significant because it is the death of the brave king Leonidas which sparked a sense of anti-Persian sentiment amongst all the Greek states and unified all of Greece. And it is that unified Greek forces which fought the next battle, and this battle that we just discussed, that is the Battle of Thermopylae, which happened 10 years later in 480 BCE. And in that very same year, the culmination of all Greek battles happening, all Greek forces joining hands to battle the Persians, happened in another battle, which was the last and the final battle between the Greeks and the Persians on land, and that battle is the Battle of Platae. Now all these battles, they were fought, and every time sometimes the Persians won, sometimes the Greeks won. But eventually the Greeks were victorious and the Persians were displaced from Greece. As they were displaced from Greece, you should remember, the Persians, they had to retreat because they were losing so much of their soldiers because of the Greek formations and the Greek unity displayed by all those Greek states. All of this story is written down in history. It is written down by a historian known as Herodotus. Herodotus is the one who has given a detailed account of all of these stories with regards to how the Greeks and the Persians fought with each other. And that story was read by a person, a Greek philosopher known as Socrates. Socrates read that story, he has read that book, and he has talked about this to his student Plato. And Plato has learnt about this and he has taught about this story to his student Aristotle. And Aristotle taught that story, he told this entire story to his student Alexander. And Alexander, when he heard of the story, he got pissed off and he told that the Persians have attacked us unwarrantedly and they were the aggressors and they need to be punished. And Alexander says, I am going to form a huge army and I am going to destroy all of Persia and I am going to conquer all of Persia. And I am not going to stop there. I am going to conquer all of the world. I will conquer the entire world, he says. And therefore, he starts marching eastwards, where he finally starts to conquer different parts of Persia. He defeats all of Persia and he moves all the way across Persia into the northwestern frontiers of India, and finally by 326 BCE he arrives at the doorstep of India. Now in history we might have heard about Alexander invading into India and trying to overrun the Indian kings in the northwestern part of India, and all those stories we have heard, but we have never really heard the context in which Alexander came to India, and the context is the Greco-Persian War, and that is the entire meaning of this particular video. Alexander's invasion into India led to the development of Greek culture in the northwestern part of India, and not only that, it brought in a lot of Greek and Roman ideas in the future. After Alexander left India, all those ideas were brought into India in the future also. So this invasion, this arrival of Greeks into Indian doorstep, that is of very high significance in studying Indian history. And that's where we conclude this video. Thank you. See you in the next video.